Hey everyone, this is Katherine. I am going to be doing my facilitation discussion on Chapter 43, Teacher of the Gifted or Gifted Teachers by Lori J. Croft. A brief introduction about what we will be talking about is we'll run through what these mean. So intellectually gifted students and their needs, what teachers of the gifted look like, teacher competencies or skills, so identification and differentiation, Teacher of the Gifted roles, and professional development and endorsements. Two guiding questions. What is the importance of teachers in gifted education, and what role do these teachers play? So in this reading, Kraft talks about the difference between a successful teacher and a teacher of the gifted. First, teacher effectiveness. Student achievement actually greatly depends on the influence of the teacher, and Croft includes some research that showed that investments in well-qualified teachers who completed a program of certification are well worth it in the schools. So what about the intellectually gifted students? Croft argues that it's less about the content than it is about the rigor of the content. So in regular classrooms, interest and learning styles are being considered, but those students who need the extra challenge intellectually are not always being seen. So one researcher said that the curriculum and instruction must be at a level, pace, depth, and complexity that would be inappropriate and frustrating for children of average ability. So while general education students benefit from enrichment, inquiry, discovery, problem solving, enhancing creativity and vision of product, gifted students need acceleration, grouping, high-level differentiated curricular programming for their needs to be met. Teachers of the gifted value new approaches to things, such as the teaching learning process. So teachers of the gifted value higher standards, positive working relationships, societal contribution, creativity is a big one, and new approaches. So Croft says that gifted teachers possess qualities that embody any successful or effective teacher, but it boils down to the perception of curriculum and attitude towards differentiation of needs. She actually included some quotes from students, and one of them represented the fact that students can tell which teachers are enthused and positive about gifted classes. So it's better for a teacher of the gifted to be actually enthused about the class rather than having a teacher who is forced to engage with creativity. And Croft includes something from the NAGC saying that it's an educational right for all students to have opportunities that will maximize their potential. So maximum potential is a big thing for teachers of the gifted. The first teacher competency is identification. So Croft points out that general education teachers have a lot of these false beliefs that gifted children are never bored, they're always enthusiastic, they have good behavior, they're popular, and that these teachers tend to not identify the underrepresented groups. So she focuses on the fact that teachers of the gifted just genuinely foster talents in children. And she says children must be recognized as talented in order to develop a talent. But talent alone is no guarantee of future success. So every potential talent needs to be cultivated and nurtured with great discipline for many years if it is to be applied usefully. So it's more about cultivating talent than just recognizing it. And then the second teacher competency or skill is differentiation. We've talked a lot about this, but she says that it's more than just grouping kids together, but it's about substantive adaptation. So she talks about grouping, acceleration, and enrichment. And so for grouping, she argues that self-contained classrooms or smaller groups of 5 to 10 students with similar needs get more one-on-one attention. She talks about pull-out programs where they are removed from the heterogeneous classroom and put in a homogeneous group. Cluster grouping, smaller groups of students are put together in the same group in a heterogeneous classroom, but they're taught by a specialized teacher of the gifted. And then a cross-grade grouping, which is pretty self-explanatory, is that children are placed into groups by level of achievement rather than by grade. So a whole bunch of students from different grades will be in the same group because they just have the same level of achievement. And then acceleration approach is more vertical, so it's just going faster with the curriculum, making rapid progress, and this is actually one of the more recommended differentiation approaches, while enrichment is a more horizontal approach. So this focuses on extra content and stimulating interest in social consciousness. She says that expanding their knowledge base while still staying with peers is a beneficial way for them to be enriched and differentiated and seen in a normal classroom. So what all goes into differentiation? Croft argues 5 points. Content is one, the subject of subject matter. So for content, she thinks that teachers of the gifted ought to develop a mastery and expertise of something so that their students can do the same. And then process is how gifted teachers present information and how they guide their students in instruction. So teachers of the gifted are acting, interacting, reacting, and revising intended curriculum that they had to fit the needs of their students. Curriculum models, which are ways to deliver content. She actually argues that while many teachers of the gifted use Bloom's taxonomy model, it's actually not the best for gifted students. Instead, she urges that teachers of the gifted look into Bett's autonomous learner model, Purdue 3-stage enrichment model for elementary learners, or Parnade's creative problem-solving model. But here I have an example of Bett's autonomous learner model. So there are 5 outer components of what it means. So orientation, individual development, enrichment, seminars, and an in-depth study, while it has all these other components in there. So basically, the curriculum model just is a certain way to deliver content and is worth exploring for teachers of the gifted. Product is the end result of a teacher's instruction. So it's not really about the mere product, but the quality of the product. So teachers of the gifted encourage authentic and transformative products, which means it's more about applying the knowledge in the product rather than summarizing what these kids have learned. And lastly, environment, both the physical and affective environment. And so different gifted students have different preferences, but this just comes into play with having a warm or cool room, a noisy or quiet environment, a light or dark environment. And teachers of the gifted really encourage an environment that focuses on acceptance and community membership. So what are some roles for the educators of the gifted? Croft points out 3 roles. First, one is a counselor. So she thinks that teachers of the gifted ought to develop a sense of self, which helps them understand their abilities. These teachers are patient and willing to listen to the gifted students. Role number 2 is the consultant. So the consultant is a resource specialist. So this teacher of the gifted is able to provide the main classroom teacher with resources that benefit the gifted child in the general education setting. And then the consultant also collaborates. She shares information, collaborating with team members to best support the gifted students. Croft says that generally consultation includes advising colleagues on the areas of concern, providing special materials, and conducting demonstration lessons in the colleagues' classrooms. So the consultant really works with the team. And then the third role is the coordinator, who is responsible for the gifted program in the school. So the teacher of the gifted has the responsibility of advising and leading the district and defining what the gifted population is and what it means for them to be served. And they develop a cohesive program linked to the general education curriculum. And lastly, we have professional development and endorsements. So the National Association for Gifted Children says that gifted students are entitled to be served by professionals who are prepared. They have specialized preparation in gifted education. These professionals are experts in differentiated content and instructional methods. They are involved in ongoing professional development, and they possess exemplary personal and professional traits. They're good role models overall. And Croft argues that endorsements are really necessary. So what we are looking into right now, I'm looking into getting my gifted endorsement. So these include gifted teachers and gifted students. It's observing them. It's studying the history of giftedness and pedagogical theory. It's exposure to advanced content. It's going to conferences and workshops and in-service opportunities. And it's learning about application techniques. So Croft argues that we ought to go and get professional development in these endorsements so that the needs of our gifted students are best met. And so with all of that rundown of information, I have a couple of discussion questions for y'all. One, which role of the teacher of the gifted do you believe is most crucial to the success of gifted students, and why do you think that? Or you can answer, which of the elements of differentiation is most important and why? And then discussion question number 2 is how do teachers of the gifted differ from general education teachers? So thank y'all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. I think it's really important that we as future teachers or already teachers just learn about what it means to be a teacher of the gifted and how our gifted students ought to see us. Thank you.